Okay, we're live.
Hey everyone, welcome to Succulents. Thank you for your patience. We have some technical difficulties, but we're here. We're celebrating our 10th episode. I'm Megan Graves, the virtual bookseller, and I'm very excited to introduce our guest. She's an educator, an author, and a culinary inspiration. This is Dr. Hattie Washington. She's been a professor of education and the first female vice president of Coppin State University. She was assistant superintendent of Baltimore Schools, and also she was the recipient of the 2018 Maryland Women's Commission Hall of Fame Award. She's the author of a memoir, Driven to Succeed, Lessons Learned Through Faith, Family, and Favor, and a companion volume in Aunt Hattie's Cookbook, Southern Comfort Food Favorites. Both of those books are available on charmcitybooks.com, and we're very excited to announce that all proceeds from those books will benefit Dr. Hattie Washington's scholarship fund at Coppin State University. That is a scholarship fund that assists foster youth who have aged out of the system and who continue their education, which is awesome. Dr. Hattie Washington, thanks for taking a few minutes to chat with me.
Hi, how are you? I'm very pleased to be here.
I'm so happy to have you. We're going to get started, as I like to start, by meeting our succulent VIPs. So I'm going to introduce you to two plants from my growing collection, and then you can tell me which one is resonating with you today. So first up, this is called a bird's nest snake plant. They are known to be able to grow in very hostile conditions, and they will grow in poor soil, which is good news for me. And next up, I have this tiny little baby. This is called a jeweled crown. It's known for blue-green leaves, and if it's exposed to a lot of direct sun, it'll blush pink on the edges. Clearly, this one probably needs a little more sun. Dr. Washington, which one is speaking to you today?
The first one. I like the first one. You said it sounded like it was sort of a hardy plant where the soil does not have to be all of that good, and it can still flourish with the whatever you give that particular soil. So that sounds like some attributes that many people are trying to endure in life. You don't always have the soil or the environment or the things you need in order to succeed. So that plant to me is a survivor. So that one kind of speaks to me.
Me too. I love that answer. I think you're right. I think we all would like to be a bird's nest snake plant right now. So speaking of fortitude and being a survivor, in 1997, you founded On Hattie's Place, which operated for, okay, Joe's going to jump in. So my technical issues are happening, so Joe's going to take over. So hold please, everybody.
I think I understood you to say about my foster boys home and the challenges that kids and youth have today. And I'm thinking one of the hardy challenges of many youth and children today is that, particularly kids with special needs, that people have low expectation of these students. And many times these are the smartest kids in the school. They may have behavior problems, or they may be in special education. And many of my students as a special education teacher were misplaced, but they had behavior problems, but I never have behavior problems. So the challenge is having low expectation of these type of students and to categorize them and put them in a box. And once you put them in that box, many times that's an excuse not to reach these students. And so many teachers that I taught at Coppin State University didn't really know how to get the gifts and talents out of these students. So another challenge is training the teachers how to teach the students to be successful And two of my strategies, one is called Triple E. Excellence is expected from everybody. And when you say that, you got to train the teachers how to teach students using more than one domain of teaching, because many students are on different levels. And if you teach for one level, only 6% of the students are going to get it on that level. If you don't know how to back up and teach that other 40%, then many times you miss the students, and we label students and put students in a place like special education, and then that's an excuse not to teach them. So I used to say, the challenge is to say special education is a service, not a place. So those have been challenges over my years of teaching special ed students, worked with my foster students, over 100 foster boys in 22 years, and also working with students just out in the community. So those are the challenges: low expectation of special students. And even if you have high expectation, you don't know how to get the most out of your students.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and every student's different and needs different special attention or skills or tactics. That's so right.
Absolutely.
So, it's amazing, Dr. Hattie. And just to, because I'm not sure if Megan completed the question, but you knew what it was because we're prepared with the script. It was in reference to 1997. You founded Aunt Hattie's Place, which operated for 22 wonderful years as a residential facility for young men with special needs in the Maryland foster system. So thank you for all that work and for sharing with our viewers about that. So now so in addition to you being a passionate educator, of course, one time you were the assistant superintendent for Baltimore Public Schools. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's correct.
Amazing. And you're also have very impressive culinary skills. So, and we're kind of talking a little bit, and we featured Aunt Hattie's Cookbook, which is available in store and online at charmcitybooks.com, is a companion volume to also your other book, a memoir. There's that beautiful book. Look at that. Filled with wonderful summertime recipes, I'm sure. Very nice. Very nice. And then you also have the book, your memoir, Driven to Succeed.
Yes.
Where, and yeah, we can take a look at that real quick too.
Oh, that's the one in Spanish.
Oh, very nice. That's right. And it's available in Spanish as well.
Absolutely.
That's amazing. Beautiful. Some cool people on the front there with you. So now where would you attribute your love of cooking and culinary arts? Where did that come from?
Well, I lived in Virginia, in the country. And when I grew up, everything we ate came from the garden or the orchard for peaches and apples, or the barnyard for all of our fresh eggs and chickens and milk from the pasture. So everything my stepmother cooked, my mother died when I was 3. And so my stepmother's the only mother I knew. And everything she cooked was from the garden. And I said, I don't think I had a candy bar until I was probably 10 or 11, because in the country, there are no stores. So you go to the store and get the main things you need. So you don't have any money for candy and that sort of thing. So if we wanted something sweet, you eat it off the tree or get some blackberries. So I used to watch my stepmother cook. Every morning I would get up and help her cook, and I watch her make the biscuits and make all of the food, from killing the chickens to making the butter and everything. So that's how I learned to cook in the country. And before there was something that called organic, we were eating organic and we didn't know it was called organic because everything came from the country. We used manure from the cows to make the best tomatoes in terms of growing things. And so it was just like a natural cycle right there on the farm where we lived.
That's awesome. That's right. The only sweet thing came from the tree.
Yeah, if you wanted something sweet, go out and eat an apple, eat a peach, get some blackberries, some cherries, everything you wanted, we had in the country.
And nowadays people, they don't even think of as an apple as something sweet anymore,
No.
Unless you go on a diet where you don't have any kind of refined or processed sugar, and then it's really sweet, like a banana or whatever it might be.
Absolutely.
So that's really cool. And So now it's time for a fan favorite, the lightning round. So here's how it works. If you answer these 3 questions correctly in the time allotted, one lucky Charm City Books viewer right now is going to win a coveted Charm City Books magnet, strong enough to hold up the Zoom lesson plans of even the most frazzled teacher. Dr. Washington, are you ready?
I guess so. I think I am.
You have to be.
We shall see.
Great. Question 1. You completed portions of your training abroad in Greece, Scotland, and England. Which country has the best late night study snacks?
Oh my goodness. Well, since in Scotland, I was at the University of Glasgow, so I had to do a lot of studying. In Greece, I was a teacher, and I was working on a master's degree also. But each country has something special. Greek, you got to try their souvlaki. The souvlaki in Greece is a must. It's like our American hot dog. So that's souvlaki for Greece. You got to eat that. And it's in my cookbook. But in Scotland, oh my goodness, the fish and chip.
Oh.
Fish and chip with the malt vinegar over the fish and the chips. That was a must. And so you eat that any time of day and at night. So I fell in love with the British fish and chips, and I have that in my cookbook as well. The American fish and French fries, or fries, and also the British fish and chips.
Oh my, that is correct. Well done. Question number 2. What dish would you recommend, perhaps from your cookbook, Aunt Hattie's cookbook, Southern Comfort, would you recommend for these lazy days of summer social distancing?
Oh, wonderful. In my book, I have any number of smoothies. From the green smoothie, very healthy for you with spinach and apples and strawberries and that sort of thing. And I also have a watermelon salad, which I got out of Greece. And the watermelon salad with olive and feta cheese and 2 kinds of lettuce, that's delicious. And I make my own sauce, and that recipe is in there too.
Oh.
And then, I mean, those are 2, the salads and also the smoothies are really, really great.
And that is correct. Well done, Dr. Hattie. Question number 3, the final one. Everything hangs in the balance on this question. It's worth the most arbitrary points. You've encountered many, many obstacles in your life. What advice would you give to young folks as they work to overcome challenges on their way to self-actualization?
That's a good question. I think about kids today being out of school. And, you know, the parents is like, what are we going to do with these kids? You know, let's open these schools, get these kids back. And my schools closed in 1959 for 5 years due to the resistance to the Brown versus Board of Education. So rather than integrating the schools when the law was passed in 1954, rather than integrating the schools, they closed the schools down, and the schools were closed down in Prince Edward County, where Farmville is, for 5 years. So I think the challenge for me, I had to be sent away from home to live with relatives in Norfolk just to finish high school. So kids nowadays got technology, they got their parents, and they got a home to be in, and they're complaining. If they think about the obstacles that other people went through, that's why I have in my book, Driven to Succeed, how you can have the inner drive. And if you have the inner drive to be successful, you can accomplish anything. Just don't give up, as John Lewis has as his motto. Don't give up, don't give in, keep the faith, keep working hard, and believe that you can reach your goal. So that's what advice I would have to young people today. Just don't give up, regardless to your path may be a roadblock or maybe a detour. But consider that a detour. It is not a roadblock. You take the glass as half full, not half empty. So stay positive and optimistic and keep the faith.
Yes. You know what, Dr. Hattie? That's as correct as anybody could possibly be. So congratulations. The lucky winner is none other than Gliterature 88. You are the winner of the Charm City Magnets.
Oh, wow.
Books Magnet.
Congratulations.
Congratulations
Wonderful.
to Gliterature 88. I think that's our
Beautiful.
good friend Tracy Diamond, who actually works at the Enoch Pratt Library, who's an amazing
Oh, wonderful.
I'm pretty sure that's her handle. So that's so right. Dr. Hattie, we're going to make sure to, of course, link to some of that information. We're also going to link to some of that information about how long it took that area of Farmville to desegregate. We'll put some of that information as well as links to where people can purchase your books, as well as
Beautiful.
some articles about the work you've done at Aunt Hattie's place. Before we go, are there any nonprofits or organizations who's doing some work right now that you would like to take this moment to uplift?
Yes, one in particular is called Sisters for Sisters Network. And there's a group of women, some men too, but they promote women who have businesses who are about making a difference in the community. So they have to empower and encourage these businesses and organizations to do more in the community to give back and help others. Many times people have the heart to do stuff, but they may not have the head, they don't know how to get started. And by me running a nonprofit and doing fundraising, many times I share my secrets of how I was able to do all those things successfully. So that's one. Another one is called Black Women for Positive Change. And they are about nonviolence under the direction of Dr. Stephanie Myers. The Sisters for Sisters was under the leadership of Peggy Morris. And I'm on that board. But Dr. Stephanie Myers of Black Women for Positive Change, every year they have a nonviolence week. And it is international, where people come together and talk about what are they doing in their cities and town to help with the violence that's going on in the town. And they try to do it by offering opportunities and education. You can't say stop the violence and don't put anything in place for these kids to have opportunities and have hope. And many times the violence is because it's pent up anger, because they've been mistreated, abused, and misused. So they have all this anger. And so we try to come up with opportunities for these young people so that they can do something else other than burning down the store, or robbing a little old lady or what have you.
Yeah.
So those are two organizations that I'm part of, and I really like our mission and what we do.
That's wonderful. And will you say those two organizations again real quick?
It's Sisters for, the number 4, Sisters for Sisters Network. And then Black Women for Positive Change Foundation.
Wonderful, wonderful. We'll make sure to link to those in the show notes on the YouTube when this goes up on there. Dr. Washington, we can't. I'm going to check the notes because again, this is not my part of the job usually.
That's okay.
But thank you so much, Dr. Washington, for being with us today. It's a real honor and pleasure to get to meet you and listen to you speak. I just can't thank you enough. And of course,
pleasure.
Both of these books available on our website, charmcitybooks.com. And thanks everybody at home for joining us. Sorry about the technical difficulties. Megan Graves will be back next week, along with newly elected councilwoman of the 10th District of Baltimore City, our own Felicia Porter, here in Pigtown. She represents part of Pigtown and part of the 10th District. In the meantime, make sure to keep your masks up, your plants watered, and love one another from a social distance. Dr. Hattie, thank you again so much.
You're welcome. My pleasure. Thank you so much.
All right, take care.